What happens when one company asks for 3.2 gigawatts of power and promises ordinary families will never pay for it? On July 22nd, OpenAI announced Project Camellia, a proposed $20 billion AI data center campus in Effingham County, Georgia. The company says Georgia Power would deliver up to 3.2 gigawatts in phases between 2028 and 2032. That is not office park electricity. It is power plant scale, about 71% of the combined generating capacity of all 4 reactors at Plant Vogtle, America's largest nuclear power station. OpenAI says the project will cover its own costs, cut its electricity demand before homes are affected, use a closed-loop cooling system, and bring jobs and tax revenue. The promises are enormous, so are the unanswered questions. Start with what has actually been announced. The planned site sits inside the Savannah Gateway Industrial Hub, an area already zoned for industrial development northwest of Savannah. OpenAI says the land had previously been intended for warehouses and logistics, but Project Camellia is not a finished data center, or even an approved 3.2 gigawatt power connection. OpenAI's own public FAQ says significant work remains on the site plan, infrastructure, permitting, financing, construction, and operating model. The company is still running a competitive process to choose a construction and operating partner. As of July 28th, Effingham County said it had received only the cover sheet for a development of regional impact review, not a completed application. That distinction matters. $20 billion is the county's announced capital investment figure. It is not money already spent, and 3.2 gigawatts is the planned maximum at full build-out, not proof of constant consumption. Today, this is a proposal with a site, a timetable, and a very large request. Gigawatts are difficult to picture. Federal energy data show Georgia had 39.746 gigawatts of utility-scale net summer generating capacity in 2024. Project Camelia's planned maximum is roughly 8% of that entire statewide figure. Plant Vogtle's 4 reactors together provide around 4.5 gigawatts. Project Camelia's maximum request is about 71% of that capacity. These are capacity comparisons, not annual energy forecasts. They do not mean the campus will run flat out every hour or that Georgia must build a second Vogtle. But a load this large cannot simply be plugged into an ordinary substation. It can require new transmission lines, transformers, switchgear, generation, storage, and contracts signed years before the first server turns on. Georgia Power is already planning a much larger expansion. In December 2025, state regulators approved procurement of approximately 9.9 gigawatts of additional resources, including natural gas generation, battery storage, solar plus storage, and power purchase agreements. The engineering question is solvable. The financial question is harder. What happens if the customer arrives late, uses less power than expected, or walks away after infrastructure has been built? OpenAI's strongest statement is simple. Georgia families will not subsidize this project. That is a company promise, but it sits on top of real regulatory protection. Georgia Power says large energy users can be required to pay local infrastructure costs upfront, sign longer contracts, accept minimum monthly bills, provide financial security, and make termination payments if they leave. Those provisions are designed to move the risk away from households and toward the customer, creating the demand. There's also a projected benefit. A state-approved agreement requires Georgia Power's next base rate filing to provide at least $556 million per year in benefits from incremental large load revenue. Georgia Power translates that into about $8.50 a month, or $102 a year, for a typical residential customer using 1,000 kilowatt-hours monthly, beginning in 2029. But listen carefully. That estimate comes from Georgia Power, and it depends on the broader portfolio of new large load customers. It is not a saving created by Project Camellia alone. The final electric service contract for this project is also supposed to face approval by the Georgia Public Service Commission. So the protection system is more than a slogan. But until the final contract is public approved and tested over time, the outcome remains a projection, not a guarantee. Project Camellia includes one unusually important commitment. OpenAI says the campus will reduce its power consumption during high demand or grid stress before residential customers are affected. In principle, some computing can be delayed, slowed, or shifted to another facility. Batteries and backup systems can protect critical operations while demand falls, but the public details are not yet available. How many megawatts can disappear? For how long? Who activates the reduction? And will the obligation be enforceable? OpenAI says it plans to publish power usage data. That matters because the difference between a promise and a grid service is measurement. The public should eventually be able to see when the campus reduced demand, by how much, and whether the commitment worked when the grid was under pressure. Economic offer is substantial. OpenAI commits to at least 400 permanent on-site jobs initially and expects more than 1,000 at full build-out, plus thousands of construction roles. It promises $80 million in community support over the project's life and up to $71 million in Codex credits for eligible Georgia students. County leaders say the new tax revenue could reduce the average homeowner's property taxes by 40%. Again, that is an official local projection, not a saving already delivered. Water is another major test. OpenAI says the campus will use closed-loop cooling that recirculates water instead of continuously withdrawing and discharging large additional volumes. It also promises to publish water use data, but community trust cannot be engineered with a press release. The project was announced only one day before its first public open house. Local reporting documented concerns about water, noise, traffic, electricity bills, and the lack of a named independent auditor. OpenAI says a future Georgia community compact will turn local priorities into measurable commitments, backed by an annual public audit. At this stage, that compact is still described as future work, and the auditor has not been publicly identified. Jobs, tax relief, and investment are potential benefits. Water, infrastructure, and financial exposure are potential costs. The serious question is which promises become enforceable before construction makes the biggest decisions irreversible. Project Camellia could become a model: private infrastructure costs, flexible electricity demand, public usage data, durable jobs, and measurable community benefits. Or it could become a warning: an ambitious announcement followed by delayed demand, rising infrastructure costs, and commitments that remain difficult to enforce. Both futures are still possible because this project is at the beginning, not the end. The decisive evidence will not be another presentation. It will be the approved contracts, permits, public measurements, and independent audits. OpenAI wants 3.2 gigawatts. Georgia wants $20 billion of investment. Residents want guarantees. The real story is not simply where the billions go. It is who carries the risk when they get there.